Welcome to Ask Psych Sessions with Marianne Lloyd, where we ask some of the best teachers we know questions from you, our audience. If you have a question or an idea for a conversation, please visit bit.ly/Ask Psych Sessions. That's bit.ly/Ask Psych Sessions. All one word, all lowercase. And here's our next question.
Thank you for joining us today. We have a little different of an episode than usual. I am here with 3 guests who are organizing the Black and Psych Week, which is ongoing if you're listening to this when the episode first appears. If you don't catch it till later, I still encourage you to listen and get involved and sort of look retroactively at what you missed. So today I'm with Dani Brauer, Lauren Kendall Brooks, and Carla Smith. I'd like them first to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about where you are in your academic journey, please. Dani, could you go first?
Sure. I'm Dani Brauer, and I'm an undergraduate senior at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and I'm a research fellow in a memory and cognition lab.
Thanks. Lauren?
Hi, I am Lauren Kendall Brooks. I am a postdoctoral associate at the University of Maryland, College Park, in the Department of Human Development and Quantitative Methodology, where I study math anxiety, math achievement, and health disparities as it relates to academic achievement and STEM education.
So it sounds like we should talk for another podcast later. But I'll stay on target today. Carla, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Carla. I'm a 5th-year PhD student in the psychology department at Rutgers, Newark. I'm a part of the Computational Cognitive Development Lab, and I study memory development.
Super. Thank you all so much for being here. Would you be willing to just tell our listeners a little bit about what Black and Psych is? How did it come to be? If people wanted to read more, is there somewhere they can go? Some background info, please.
So Black and Psych kind of got started right around the end of last year in December 2020. I guess wrapping up a really difficult year. We had seen a lot of initiatives that are now, I think, known as Black and X. So there was Black in Neuro, Black in Engineering, Black in Data, Black in Microbio, I think. Obviously, a lot of really inspirational work was being done to raise visibility and celebrate Black scientists in many different fields. So personally, I saw those and I was kind of waiting to see a Black in psychology, and basically got down to the end of 2020 and thought, well, it seems like it's about that time. So I put out a call on Twitter. Twitter has been an amazing resource for putting together these kinds of initiatives. So I just put out a call on Twitter to see if anyone would be interested in doing a Black and Psych initiative similar to the other Black and X's. And I got a bunch of responses. It was incredibly exciting to see other people passionate about doing something like this.
Thank you. Carla or Lauren, do you want to add anything about that?
Yeah, I thought that it was a great idea when Dani came to me. I actually, like she mentioned, the other Black and X's, I actually found was recruited for my postdoc through Black and Neuro. So I knew when I saw that was something that was going to be really important and something really necessary for the Black psychologists, whether they be trainees, professionals, everybody on the campus. I knew that they could benefit from something like this.
Yeah, and interestingly, I have just joined Twitter, so I didn't really know what this Black and X meant, but I saw Dani's post in Spark Society on their Facebook page, shout out to Spark, and got really excited about the prospect of forming a community with other Black psychologists, and I was like, I have to get in on this. I don't know what this is quite yet, but I'm going to see what it's about, and I've learned a lot. In the last 2 months or so about Twitter and just forming community with other psychologists.
That's terrific.
I was just going to say, I think we all feel that joy and excitement of beginning this initiative and feeling connected to other people, seeing that there were other people out there like us that had similar goals and a similar desire to build community. And it's been a great learning process. It's been a great learning process, I think, for all of us. But I think we began with the aim of connecting Black psychologists, celebrating Black psychologists. And I think we've really gotten to experience that amongst ourselves to begin with, before we've even had the chance to bring it to a wider group of people. We've been developing amongst ourselves. And I can feel the impact that's had for me, of course. And so I'm really excited to bring that to other people and to a broader community during this week.
Great. Thank you. Connecting and celebrating are things we could use even more right now, all of us, but I think especially for the Black psychologists that aren't in the same numbers as the white ladies like me, right? So thank you. Can we talk about the specifics of the week a little bit? So maybe starting with the dates, and it looks like there's a lot to be found on Twitter. So can someone talk about that, please?
So the week is Sunday, March 21st through Saturday, March 27th. And there are two main components, like two main ingredients, like you'll see with, I think, some of the other Black and X's. We've got a week that is based on Twitter with different topics for engagement on the different days. I'll talk about that in a second. And then we've also got a couple of panels that one of the co-founders will talk about in a second. So for the Twitter week, the idea is to just first get people introduced. So to have Black psychologists introduce themselves so that we can start to raise their platform, raise awareness of them, and just to really, again, give them that visibility to be seen as members of the wider community of psychology, to be seen as Black scientists. So our first day, Sunday the 21st, will be a Black in Psych roll call. That will be the hashtag. So people will be able to tweet with that hashtag to identify themselves. And then through the rest of the week, we'll have some other themes. So we'll have a different theme for every day. Again, to start engaging people, to introduce them to each other, and to start building these connections and community that we're talking about. So Monday, we'll have the hashtag Black in Psych scholastic style. Carla or Lauren, would you like to talk about that one?
I think that was a Carla initiative.
Yeah. So we want Black psychologists to talk about their scholastic style, right? We come in all shades, shapes, styles, sizes, right? We're all different. And the goal of that day is just to highlight who you are as a Black psychologist, right? Whether it's through your clothing, whether it's through, I don't know, just what makes you you and what makes you a Black psychologist. I always like to wear funky clothes, so that's why I came up with that hashtag. I don't know, Lauren, if you want to chime in. I feel put on the spot here. I did come up with that hashtag, but I was just drawing it back to the things that I really cherish, which is like my clothing and style, and I think we all have something different to bring to the table in regards to that, how we show up as Black psychologists.
Yes, and I think that one of the most important things that people have to consider is like, when we think about professional psychologists, you think about a certain look, whereas when I was in grad school, I was the grad student with the really big hair. This is before I cut it off the first time. I always had on some kind of bright colored lipstick. I wear a lot of like all Black, but brightly colored shoes. You never know, my tights. And all of that is still professional because it's me. I'm a professional, so what I'm wearing is still professional. And I think that that's something that we have to push out and let people understand, that you don't have to look a certain way to be a psychologist.
Thank you, Lauren. So much more articulate.
I think something else we talked about is also just different aspects of your identity. So scholastic style, your style can be expressed by many different things. So we talked about intersectionality. So people have different intersections to their identities, their gender, their beliefs. I personally have a disability, so that's something I'll be talking about on the day. And I, like Lauren was saying, like she was saying, what we do, the way we look is professional because a professional is doing it. And so I think scholastic style is, again, it's another way of looking at superficial, the way we judge people superficially. So we're here because we judge superficially on race. That's an issue that we're talking about, but there are many other ways to be superficial, and those smaller ways feed into the bigger ways, and those smaller ways, I think, those smaller judgments, those smaller superficial judgments can be really significant too.
Do you want to talk about the next theme day or let people surprised?
Actually, what do y'all think? Should we go through each day?
Just a quick summary for each day. The next day is the Black and Psych journey. So just talking about your journey, how did you get there? And that day is kind of special because we do have a panel on that day. And we have different people coming together to talk about how they got to psychology as their profession and what they do. And then the next day is Black and Psych 2020. We're just talking about 2020 and how we survived.
What a year.
Especially as psychologists, there were so many parts to it. I even think about, did my comprehensive exams, and my comprehensive exams were entirely about COVID because my degree is in health psychology. And it was a big shock because every other year it hasn't been, but we need to focus on this because it's COVID, it's Black Lives Matter, it's all these, a part of our identity coming to the forefront. And that affects how we are professionals and how we do what we do. So I think that is a very important topic. How did you survive that? And what did you learn about yourself through 2020?
I think that goes in two directions too, as psychologists talking about that time, because those issues impacted us. But psychology also has a lot to say about how we interpret those things and how we engage with those things. And I do think also that different people and different groups have defined 2020 in different ways. For me, 2020 was defined much more by the social justice aspect. And for other people, it's been defined more by the pandemic. And I'm sure other people have their own emphases that are different from those two. So hopefully it'll be a broader discussion about the way we've all experienced a year of really drastic changes and difficult conversations.
And then the next day is Black and Psych Racism. We have another panel that day on decolonizing research and just the work that goes into doing research on Black people specifically and people of color as a general concept, and how all of those different intersectionalities affect how you do research and how you interpret it. And so also having people share their experiences with microaggressions in the field and how that affected their professional development.
So can I ask maybe a follow-up, if you're willing to wax on, not suggesting that there's one right answer to this, but I'm picturing myself scrolling Twitter and seeing these things, right? And I believe, I'm not a big Twitter user, but it's like a heart, right? That suggests that you affirm. I don't want to affirm anyone's microaggressions, but how do am I just write a thank you for sharing? I don't know. It feels, and again, I don't want to turn this into white centering by any means, but as someone who teaches Black students, who hopes to have Black colleagues someday, I don't want to act, silence is violence too. So, your ideal Twitter interactor Or does the heart not mean I approve of this? It means I see this, but I don't want to use my voice to overshadow your voice. Do you have thoughts on that?
I definitely think that when somebody likes it, it's more so acknowledging that you saw it, but you didn't necessarily need to say something in response. I like stuff to save it for myself for later, but it's also retweeting is also because you're now sharing my thoughts and viewpoints with your people that follow you. Even quote retweeting and just saying, read this is important, is helpful. So it's not like you're saying, yes, racism is great. You're saying, no, this is important. So we accept the hearts.
Okay. Well, that's helpful. And right, a way to amplify voices without needing to throw in your 2 cents, I think is really valuable at a time for building community and celebrating, right? Wow.
Yes.
I think that's why Twitter has been such a great platform for these initiatives, is that idea of amplifying voices. And in Twitter's case, you can amplify a voice just through retweeting. It really is like a digital microphone. So when you retweet someone, you don't have to worry about interpretation or making sure that you're representing their message correctly or accurately. You're just spreading their message, spreading their literal message in their actual words. And I think the issue of hearting something or liking something is pretty funny, I think, for all of us. We, I think, have all gone through a stage of wondering if I heart this, if I like this, am I supporting it? And other platforms have introduced other reactions. But like Lauren was saying, I think it's really an affirmation saying, I hear you, I see you, I've heard your experience. So often I think when people like difficult statuses, because I do that too, like I see really difficult things and I really don't want to like it. But it lets that person know that they've been heard, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate the social media lessons in addition to being able to get excited about the week. Do you want to say a few more things about the panels? You mentioned the first one, that's going to be people sharing their experience, and then one on decolonizing. Did you want to add any additional information about them?
Sure. So the first panel is the Journey to Psych. That's on Tuesday, March 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. And it will also, after it's live, it'll also be on YouTube. So you will not miss it. So we're going to have that moderated by one of our co-founders, Dominique Lloyd. And our panelists are Rihanna Mason from Georgia State, Gwenna Blandon, who is an interesting case because she just actually emailed me today and said, my fellowship is over. I'm just studying for the EPPP. I don't have a place to go. So that's an interesting part of it because that happens so often. So now I am even more excited about her being a part of it. And then last is Dwayne Watson from Vanderbilt and the Spark Society. So it's just a conversation about how different people got to psychology. And I think that's really important because as we've had some of our conversations, that a lot of students are interested in psychology, but a lot of times when our Black students think about psychology, they just think about mental health. They don't know or understand that there's a lot of other aspects to psychology. They've got developmental, industrial, or cognitive, and all of these different parts are still psychology. And once they know about it, you kind of can do more with it. You say, oh, maybe I do want to go into more research and not necessarily therapy. I thought I wanted to be a therapist. I realized I don't like to be around people enough to be a therapist. So I was like, I like to do research. So let me do the research to help the therapist be better therapists later. And I think that that's something that will be brought up in the conversation, and it'll be really good to hear how people got to that part of how they progressed in their professional journeys. And then the other panel as well.
Yes.
Okay, is on Decolonizing Research. So it's a conversation about culturally relevant research practices. That will be moderated by me, and we'll have Cheryl Talley from Virginia State University in the STEM US Center. And something special about the STEM US Center is that they're specifically researching why HBCUs disproportionately graduate Black STEM PhDs. So if you go to an HBCU for a STEM, you are disproportionately more likely to become a PhD or an MD or a DD. And that's really, really interesting. So they are, I'm really proud of her in that project. And then we also have Linda James Myers from Ohio State University and Dawn Edge from the University of Manchester in the UK. And something else just really powerful is finding out that she is one of 35 Black female professors in the UK out of 19,000 professors.
Wow.
So I was like, that my brain does not understand that ratio at all. I just can't cognitively understand that ratio. So I'm very excited about her research, which is with Black people, and just understanding how they've done it and what barriers they've had and how we can make this better. So we're very excited about these panels.
Well, those both sound terrific, and it's great that they'll be available on YouTube for people that have, 3:00 class, or they're listening to this in May, or
right.
something like that. Great.
Yes.
I have one more follow-up question. Maybe I'll ask this one to Carla. So Black in Psych, this is for all levels, undergrad through about to retire.
Yeah, absolutely. We do not discriminate, right? We want to welcome all Black psychologists, and it's essential to have Black psychologists from every level, right? This is about community and mentorship. So it's important that we have a variety of Black psychologists who can mentor each other. I feel like I've learned a lot already from Lauren, who's a postdoc, right? And I'm in my 5th year. And I've also learned from Dani, who's an undergrad. So, yeah, we're open to, every Black psychologist at every level of their career. And if anyone else wants to chime in, you guys feel free.
Yeah, we're here for everyone. We're here for mentorship, mentees, and it's always interesting how no matter where you're at in your career, you can learn from the people, from all the people around you. My grad student has been teaching me a lot of things, and it's been really, really great. I am, a fresh postdoc, but he's just been teaching me statistical analysis. I'm like, wow, I needed you when I was trying to write. Thank you so much for helping me. And some of my first year grad students have been really instrumental in helping me understand how they learn so that I can be a better eventual advisor, teacher, and just what do I need to do so that I can be better, so that they can be better. So I think that that's the purpose, is to build, community and networking, and then also let people know that we're here. So, come hire us. And we can, when you have diversity, natural diversity within your community and within your systems, everybody benefits from that.
Going back to something that Lauren said earlier about introducing people to the diversity of the subdisciplines of psychology. Again, we want to really encourage more discussion and engagement with psychology as a field and the many forms that it takes. And something that I've been thinking about in this process, we've all agreed that it's really important to us to represent fully psychology as a multifaceted discipline. And something I've been thinking about during this process is, of course, we're here to celebrate Black psychologists, but we're also all here because we love psychology, because we're here to celebrate psychology as a discipline and all of the amazing things it teaches us, all of the amazing opportunities it's given us. And so a way that I've been thinking about that is, yes, we're here again to celebrate Black psychologists, but as other people have pointed out, we are not just experts in being Black psychologists. When you want to hire someone to speak, don't hire me just to speak about being Black in psychology. Hire me to speak about psychology. So we will be here celebrating Black psychologists, but we're also experts in psychology. So we will be using this as a platform for education about psychology itself as well. We are experts in our experience, but we are also experts in this field. And so we want to share all of our scholastic style in that way, I think.
Which I'll be honest, that I thought that I was going to get to do on that day was like post my favorite papers. Didn't even think about fashion, although I am excited for that as well.
Well, style itself comes in many forms too. So I think that's part of the thinking behind it. I'm really excited for that hashtag, actually, to see how people run with it.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank all three of you for your time, and I really hope that your inaugural week, because I'm already going to mark my calendar for 2022 as well. I want to wish you a lot of success with hashtag Black in Psychology. Please join in the Twitter activities. I should have asked for the right verb there. Please join for all the events on Twitter. This is again March 21st through 27th, and the panels will be on Tuesday and Thursday, but later available on YouTube. Thanks again for your time. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.